we ready? All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2012 PLS election debate. As you're aware, President Obama and Governor Romney have been actively campaigning for the presidential election. Our U.S. government and politics classes have been campaigning as well for your votes. Next week on October 24th, you will get to decide who PLS elects as President of the United States. Today, the two campaigns meet to share with you their candidates' opinions on major issues we face as a nation. They will be discussing unemployment, health care, and abortion. Here's the procedure for the debate. Each campaign will start with an opening statement, and then each campaign will take turns answering the three debate questions. After each response, the other campaign will have a chance to make a rebuttal to their opponent's response. At the end, each campaign will give a closing statement, and at the very end, we will have a question and answer period. We'll turn on the lights so I can see who has their hands raised, and I'll give you more instructions on that at that time. During this time as an audience, you'll need to be listening quietly and respectfully. You may applaud at the end of each speech, but please do not make noises during the speech. Booing at any time is not acceptable. You should all have a notes page, okay, that you need to take notes on. Your notes will be graded. You'll turn them in to me for history and geography grades. Be sure to take thorough and careful notes. And now, without further ado, the opening statement of the Obama campaign.
First of all, on behalf of the Barack Obama campaign, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. I'd also like to thank Ms. Wolf for being our moderator as well. I would like you all to recall the economic situation under President Bush 4 years ago. America was experiencing the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The unemployment rates skyrocketed. Fundamental businesses like the auto industry collapsed, and our whole financial situation had frozen. In 2008, America elected Barack Obama, hoping that he would accomplish what seemed impossible to the average American. We hoped that he would revive the U.S. economy and restore us to the flourishing nation that we once were. And President Obama has delivered. Since his election, America has seen the creation of almost 5 million sector jobs, the resuscitation of the auto industry, and the passing of the economic stimulus package. President Obama has also worked towards improving the lives of the middle and lower classes. He has changed taxes that support privately owned small businesses that keep jobs in the United States. He has also passed the Affordable Health Care Act to ensure health care for all Americans and has improved the education system. This election is a chance for citizens and voters, including those here at PLS today, to choose between the policy of Governor Romney, the policy that got America into this mess, or the policy of Barack Obama that has given us tangible improvements. Governor Romney believes that providing tax cuts for the wealthy, large businesses, and repealing regulations is the only way to restore America's economy. President Obama believes the success of the middle class is the key to economic success. A vote for Obama is a step in the right direction for America forward.
Albert Einstein once said that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So that being said, how many of you would want the same America with its high unemployment rate, high deficit, high poverty rate, and increased government cutbacks for another 4 years? Because that is what Obama has given us in the past 4 years, and expecting anything different would just be insanity. By looking at the past, we can see that Obama should not be in our future. In comparison though, Romney's past is full of times when he was able to turn bad situations around. In 1999, a scandal was uncovered about the Olympics that threatened to make it a disaster for the future Olympics. Romney was asked to step up and lead the next Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City in 2002. Through his expert leadership ability, Romney was able to save the 2002 Winter Olympics, and he did such a great job that he even managed to turn in a whopping $40 million in profit from the event. This money has been put into a fund that now owns and maintains the Olympic facilities that were built for the Games. Romney took this difficult situation and turned it into something spectacular that gained profit. Romney also had difficulties when he was put in charge of Massachusetts as governor. The state had severe budget problems. Government spending was soaring, and taxpayers were paying more and more for government programs that were falling behind. But Romney reconstructed the government programs and brought state spending under control. Romney even made Massachusetts education #1 in the nation. Romney did something that was spectacular. He turned the state and the 2002 Olympics around. And that's what we need. We don't need to do the same things over and over again, hoping that we'll get different results. We need to do something new. We need to choose someone we can trust. We need something spectacular. We need Mitt Romney.
Thank you. And now for our first question. Our unemployment rate is still high despite the government's attempts to boost the economy through bailouts and stimulus packages. What is your plan to create new jobs and get Americans back to work? You have 3 minutes. We're going to start with the Romney campaign.
The loss of jobs over the past few years has been a reflection of our nation's economy. When President Obama became president in 2008, he promised to rebound our economy and put America back to work. Clearly, it hasn't happened. Mitt Romney has a 5-point plan, which includes becoming energy independent, increasing trade, especially with Latin America, improving the education system, maintaining a balanced budget, and encouraging small business to restore America's economy. By being energy independent, we will be able to control energy prices. This will help people at the pump, allow industries to produce goods at a cheaper cost, and lower power prices. However, in order for this to work, we need someone who knows what they're doing. During Obama's presidency, he gave over $90 billion in tax cuts to alternative energy companies. Then, after just 1 year, half of these companies that received the tax cuts went out of business. Romney's plan will ensure that such a catastrophe doesn't happen. Romney will increase trade with other countries, opening new markets for American industries and restrict unfair practices with countries such as China. Approximately 95% of the world's consumers live beyond our borders, and selling our world-class products and services to them is the next great frontier for economic growth. Our current education system isn't working. Romney will improve this by emphasizing teacher performance, getting rid of unproductive programs, and strengthening and simplifying the financial aid program, as well as improving the conditions of schools across the country, leading to better test scores and the students' overall interest in learning. By strengthening the school system, Romney will take America to the top of education. The federal deficit ultimately needs to be eliminated. Romney proposes to give tax breaks to the middle class, encouraging spending and revenue, and cut federal spending in order to fix the deficit. Small businesses are the foundation of America's economy, yet under President Obama, they are being choked out through taxes and Obamacare. Under President Obama, 700,000 jobs were lost due to his tax system on small business. And in a recent survey of small business, 3/4 stated that Obamacare affected them most and that they hired fewer people. Romney will decrease taxes on small businesses and do away with Obamacare, helping small businesses thrive and help get America back to work. It is apparent that our current economic track is not leading us towards success. Obama has increased taxes in order to fund his increased spending on ideas that haven't worked. America needs new ideas and new tactics in order to fix this economic recession. Mitt Romney's 5-point plan has an innovation and determination that was proven to work in Massachusetts, and it will work for the rest of America too.
Okay, now we have the Obama rebuttal.
I'm going to hit a few of Andrew's points. How is Romney going to make jobs when last month, while the unemployment rates were at a record low, the Joint Taxation Committee asked Congress what would happen if they repealed the biggest deductions and loopholes in corporate tax, then using this revenue to lower the tax rates. They began to add together all of the deductions, but by the end, they were only able to find enough revenue produced to create a 4% decrease in taxation. This is not the 20% that Romney is planning on giving the middle tax in part of his 5-point plan. Ultimately, we as the middle class hardly benefit. We would gain barely any new jobs that were promised by Governor Romney, but this would not happen with Obama. Over the past 4 years, Obama has had to deal with the aftermath of Bush's presidency. When Obama was inaugurated into the presidential office January of 2009, the unemployment rate was at the highest it had been since the Great Depression at 14.7%. A month ago, it was decreased to 8%. The rate was nearly cut in half. He has created 5.2 million jobs. Most of these jobs came from big corporations, not small business. Romney supports small business, but where is the growth in his plan? Within the last month of campaigning, the rate has dropped to 7.1%. This is an addition of 100,000 jobs. Romney says that he wants to cut the deficit by lowering unemployment, but he doesn't realize the harm that his plan would actually cause the people. Putting his plan into action would by giving tax breaks to the wealthy and causing 2/3 of America to suffer on budget cuts. His plan would likely result in 1.3 million jobs lost in 2013 and 4.1 million jobs through 2014. He is going to cut corporate taxes and repeal Obamacare. This leaves too many tax breaks, doing nothing for the deficit, therefore doing nothing for unemployment rates. How can Romney claim that his plan would help make jobs when the facts and research show that it's the exact opposite? Obama plans to keep lowering unemployment by actually creating jobs like he's already proven that he can. He's made a plan to increase employee skills, the Bridge to Work program. This lets people try out a job for 8 weeks, not paid, but still on unemployment benefits, to raise their experience within the company before they actually take the job. He wants to reevaluate tax codes for businesses shipping jobs overseas. This means that the business would have a minimum tax for outsourcing jobs, all the while giving local businesses tax cuts. Romney wants to turn back to where Obama was when he first took office, deficit rising and unemployment rates at the worst they had been in nearly a century. Do you want to return to how it was while Bush was in office, or do we want to move forward with Obama?
For those of you taking notes, her rebuttal and her answer were back to back there. All right, we have a rebuttal from the Romney campaign.
There are not record low unemployment levels. The unemployment levels are the same level as when Obama took office, 7.8%. What was said was incorrect. Obama promised to not let unemployment get over 8%. He said that without the stimulus, it would go up to 9%. But after spending the $830 billion stimulus, the unemployment went up to 10%. Now, Romney will not give tax breaks to the rich. This was also mentioned and is also incorrect. Another thing mentioned was the auto bailout. Obama said that this money was repaid, but the same week, the Congressional Budget Office said that the government will lose about $24 billion of the $80 billion bailout. There are also no incentives for moving jobs overseas. Now, Romney wants to cut down on regulations for small businesses because just last year, small business owners, spent about $1.1 trillion just to comply with regulations.
And that's a minute. Thank you. Okay, the second question we have this afternoon is, how do you propose to improve America's healthcare system and ensure that every citizen has access to affordable health care? You have 3 minutes.
Being able to afford the doctors and specialists you need is not a privilege reserved for only certain people. Good health care is a basic right that everyone should have access to, regardless of their income, age, gender, or condition. Obama has been working to make health care a reality for all Americans. Under Obama's plan, young adults could stay on their parents' plan until they reach the age of 26. This helps people like you and me, who will soon be busy studying at college and eventually paying back our inevitable student loans. In addition to helping young people, Obama would also make it possible for more than 20 million senior citizens to receive cardiovascular screening free of charge, allowing doctors to better care for their patients. In addition, seniors could be getting help with paying for their medication, saving $2.1 billion on prescription drugs. Aside from the senior citizens, there would be more than 17.6 million children that would get coverage even though they have a pre-existing medical condition like asthma or diabetes. Without Obama, these children could have been denied health care. Currently, health care is expensive. It has to be if you want better coverage and options, but it is Obama's goal to change that. Insurance companies will be held accountable by giving their customer a rebate if the company spends less than 80% of your premium on medical care. In addition, companies will be required to publicly justify their actions if they want to raise their rates by more than 10%. This means that they can't just raise the price of their insurance for no reason. The insurance companies will also be required to cover certain preventative services like annual checkups and cancer screenings so doctors can more effectively care for their patients. Insurance companies will be held accountable for their actions, something that hasn't always been the case. Another major issue in healthcare has to do with women. Barack Obama believes that women and their doctors, not politicians, should be making their personal healthcare decisions. Obama has fought against attempts to defund Planned Parenthood, which is one of the largest providers of women's health services, of women's birth control services, as well as other like breast and cervical cancer screenings. He will also make sure that the health insurance companies will cover preventative care. Romney wants to end funding to Planned Parenthood and give employers and the government the authority to limit women's access to some birth control and allowing insurance companies to charge more for women than for men. Our healthcare options and care shouldn't be limited because of the gender we have. Obama knows that and is fighting for it. Obama's healthcare plan will make sure that all Americans get the care they have a right to. Old and young, men and women, healthy and sick, everyone will be cared for, and insurance companies won't be able to change that. Seniors will be able to save with free preventative services, a lower prescription drug cost, and a lower monthly premium. Young people won't have to worry about how they will pay for their health care. Obama is concerned about the health of this country and will give both you and me the practical, affordable, quality health care we deserve.
So I want to compare Obamacare to a PE uniform. Only, unlike the great PE uniforms we get at PLS, Obamacare comes in XXL. Yes, it covers everybody, but it doesn't fit everybody. And in fact, people slip through the cracks. The reality is this: the federal government does not have the time or the resources to give personalized, individual attention to the healthcare needs of 315 million people. That's why we have states. States can. By giving the money, the federal money to the states, that will allow the states to craft their own policy. That will allow states to innovate, to learn from each other, to privatize and to contract with insurance companies so that they can offer the best coverage possible. With Obamacare, you have one option. You can take it or you can leave it. But you have one option. And it doesn't work for everybody. Here's why. The states can learn from each other. The states can tweak their policies. With Obamacare, every change goes through Congress. I think you know what I mean when I say good luck with that.
And now we have the answer to question 2 from the Romney campaign. You have 3 minutes.
Healthcare. As many of you know, Obamacare was instituted as a plan to assist the American people in providing everyone with an inexpensive healthcare plan. This has presented a problem because the only way that healthcare can be provided for low costs is either by borrowing money and giving it to the people of America, which increases the already exorbitant national debt, or by forcing healthcare providers to lower their costs. The latter is what Obama has chosen to do. And by doing that, the president has begun to discourage innovators from investing in life-saving technology and has restricted consumer choice. As president, Romney will privatize healthcare. This will create competition between insurance companies, which is always good for the consumer, because the companies lower their prices to beat their opponents. If the United States government continues to create socialized healthcare, we will end up with a healthcare system like Canada, in which a sick person must wait their turn to be treated, no matter the urgency of their problem. The United States is a leader in providing medical treatments and has the most experienced doctors. With Obamacare in place, doctors will not want to have their practices here because they will be forced to have low prices. With experienced doctors in such high demand, they can easily leave the country and go elsewhere to find work. And Obamacare will make that a likely option because doctors will begin to lose money on patients who pay with Obamacare. As is stated in Obama's healthcare plans, taxpayers' money will be used to pay for abortions and contraceptives. In addition, these tax dollars will be used to provide healthcare to drug addicts, overly obese, and irresponsible people who cannot afford a basic healthcare plan. Yet there will be no differentiation between people because that would be unfair. This means that you must pay for their healthcare, but cannot tell them what they should or should not be doing, even though they are practicing bad health habits. If you have to pay for someone's healthcare, do you want to be paying for medical marijuana or other drugs that are being misused? Under Mitt Romney, the healthcare plans would be transferred down to the states, and in that way, the healthcare plans would be tailored to the individual and their necessities. Obama's broad healthcare plan will not work, giving a general cookie-cutter healthcare plan to everyone, which is wasteful and unnecessary. Romney's plan for healthcare has been proven to work, as seen in Massachusetts, unlike Obamacare, which has yet to be implemented or proven to work. When it comes to the government spending tax dollars, I would trust a tried and true method over a theoretical plan that took 2 years to be deemed constitutionally sound. The privatization of healthcare will be much better for the future of America if we want to stay financially stable and a leader in the medical world.
It is true that with Obamacare, there are drawbacks. There are drawbacks to every healthcare system, and there always will be. Obamacare, the goal of Obamacare, is to get everyone in America on healthcare, which I feel, and Obama feels, is more important than the potential of it not working. We haven't tried it yet. You don't know if it's going to work. Romney's plan is basically, let everyone else figure it out, that's not my problem. Obama has a plan to get people cared for, and that's what's most important.
All right, thank you. Now for a third and final question. Do you support state amendments that place restrictions or qualifiers on abortion? Our first answer will be from the Romney campaign. Denise?
Okay. Heads, I live. Tails, I die. 50% chance. This is what most unwanted children from unwanted pregnancies face. A 50% chance to be born. The only other choice is death by abortion. Abortion has been a very controversial topic since 1973, when the United States Supreme Court allowed the murder of innocent children to become legal. In 1973, the United States turned its back on the unborn children in the Roe versus Wade decision. 50 million lives have been terminated since then. There are only 1.21 million abortions made every year in the United States alone. 1.1 million children who will never get to see the light of day. They will never run, they will never play, have friends, or know what life is. Yet, in the United States Constitution, it declares, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. These are all rights that are given to all citizens. However, through abortion, it seems as though we are not treating unborn children like citizens. They are in a womb so they can grow in a safe and protective environment, because they are defenseless and they cannot protect themselves. At the time of conception, a new life has been created, one that can never again be created. Romney is pro-life and is willing to protect the rights of these unborn children. He also knows that taking the life of an innocent child is wrong and always tragic. Romney believes that life begins when a baby is conceived. He also wishes that the laws of our nations will reflect this view. In his words, Americans have the moral duty to uphold the sanctity of life and to protect the weakest, most vulnerable, and most innocent among us. As president, Mitt Romney will ensure that Americans will reflect American values of preserving life at home and abroad. Abortion is a pretty grisly procedure. Procedures ranging from burning the skin off a child with strong chemicals to making incisive cuts in a child's neck and vacuuming its brains out. Is this right? Absolutely not. Yet, President Obama thinks so. Will we allow such barbaric acts to continue? I think not. President Obama accepts letting these things happen to unborn children. Mitt Romney thinks it's really wrong. What do you think?
As you may know, last Tuesday, Romney said to a reporter, "There is no legislation with regards to abortion that I'm familiar with that would become part of my agenda." Abortion and women's rights are not a big issue for Governor Romney. Just a few days after telling the press this quote, his running partner Ryan promised that Romney would instill a staunchly pro-life administration in America if he were to become president. We see numerous contradictions in his platform regarding abortion and women's rights. On these issues, Romney does not have a unifying platform. There's no knowing what he stands for and what he will choose for American women if he is elected. President Obama stands firm in his support of women's rights involving health care. He has a plan that he has already acted upon and intends to continue when he is reelected. If you are looking for a candidate that stands firm in their beliefs and convictions concerning women's rights and health care, Romney is not your candidate.
And now the Obama campaign will answer question 3.
Obama's first and fundamental view is that a woman has a right to choose what happens to her own body. In America, we enjoy the right to freedom of thoughts, beliefs, and convictions. A woman's stance on abortion and their health falls under these categories. A politician's personal belief on abortion should not inhibit a woman's rights to choose. As Obama says, this decision is one to be made privately, between a woman and her doctor, without the interference of politicians. If we look at abortion from a purely practical point of view, it is easy to see that illegalizing it would only endanger the lives of women. Over history, we see that prescribing something does not completely eliminate it, but only makes it more dangerous. Look, for example, at prohibition in the 1920s. Sale of alcohol was still practiced, even though there was a law forbidding it. The only thing that was different was the eradication of regulations on price and safety. Alcohol was at its most dangerous when it was outlawed. It will be the same for abortion. Women will go to unsafe measures to get abortions, like going overseas, black market abortions, and doctors that are not licensed or qualified to be doing medical procedures. It's situations like this when you get these terrible practices of abortion, when you don't have qualified doctors who use proper procedures. Regardless of your personal view, abortion will not be stopped, and it is imperative that we set safety regulations in place. By promoting legalization and safety regulations concerning abortion, Obama is an advocate for the health and safety of women. Obama has and will continue to fund organizations that promote and provide safe and well-thought-out abortions, like Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is an organization that promotes the welfare of women and women's health care. Planned Parenthood is an operation that runs almost 800 clinics nationwide for women and families. Not only does Planned Parenthood provide safe abortions, but it also gives guidance in how to prevent unwanted pregnancies, family counseling, and other women's health services like cervical and breast cancer screenings and mammograms. Romney plans to cut funding that goes to Planned Parenthood in an attempt to completely remove the program. Romney also plans to repeal Roe v. Wade, which we heard about, but Roe v. Wade is a law that was passed in 1971 that guarantees a woman's choice in getting an abortion. It considers the health of both the fetus and the mother and regulates abortion in the 3rd trimester. It is a law that would ensure the safety for women, but Romney plans to do away with Roe v. Wade if he becomes president. He would completely outlaw abortion, even in cases of rape, incest, and the endangerment of the woman's life. Obama gives women an option. President Obama firmly believes that a woman's choice is one to be made between herself and a doctor, not by a politician.
Now is a rebuttal from the Romney campaign.
Both candidates agree that abortion is allowed in cases of rape, incest, or when the mother's life is in danger. But President Obama supports abortion, even if the mother is perfectly fine. Under Obama, women don't have to worry if a couple weeks before birth they decide that a baby will ruin their party life. Obama thinks that even though a fetus may have a beating heart or may be responsive to touch, it is okay to kill it because it hasn't been born yet. This is wrong. Abortion is murder. And although abortion may be acceptable if the mother is in mortal danger, killing a perfectly healthy baby is not.
All right, now for our closing statements. First we'll have the Obama campaign and then the Romney campaign. Each of them will speak for 4 minutes.
For the past 4 years, Obama has been working hard to get America out of this economic recession created by the Bush administration. He had a plan and he did what he promised. Obama promised to lower the unemployment rate and it has dropped to its lowest point in 4 years. During this term, America has seen the creation of almost 5 million private sector jobs and the auto industry has flourished under the Obama administration. President Obama's priority is helping the majority of Americans, not just the wealthy and big business owners. He knows that the success of America is reflected in the success of the middle class. Romney proposes tax cuts that would support big business and corporations that would aid the wealthy. Obama has promised taxes that will help small businesses and middle-class American families. He is regulating banks in order to stop crooked practices that take advantage of the average American. He is also working to halt corrupt practices used by insurance companies that make health coverage unattainable for the lower and middle-class families. Romney plans to repeal Obamacare on day one. This means devastating outcome for Americans seeking health care. Medicare and prescription drugs would become a voucher system, and he would cut funding in public clinics that provide services to everyone. Obamacare ensures every American that they will be able to have health care. Every citizen is insured. Every citizen is insured basic human rights, a fact that would be lost under Romney's health care plan. Obama knows that health care is not a privilege reserved for only certain people, but should be available for America as a whole. 4 years ago, Obama promised to pull the U.S. troops out of Iraq. In doing this, he has cut defense budget by $500 billion. And he has improved international relations between the U.S. and the rest of the world. Obama also knows that the success of the middle class is a reflection of the success of the nation. Unlike Governor Romney, he will not favor the wealthy and big business by providing a tax cut for the 1%. Romney plans to give power back to the companies that ship jobs out of the U.S., banks that create their own rules, and insurance companies that will dominate healthcare prices. All of these things just create a harder environment for the middle class to survive. This election is a chance for American citizens and voters at PLS to choose between the policy of Governor Romney and the policy that got America into this mess, and that of President Obama, in which we have already experienced tangible improvements, including the unemployment rate and the auto industry. Obama believes in the success of the middle class as the building blocks of economic success. Obama stands for one race, and that is the human race. A vote for Obama is a step in the right direction for every citizen in America.
Look back over the last 4 years and ask yourself this question. Have these years gone well? For the majority of Americans, the answer is no. The current administration campaigned on the idea that he would run government differently. He lied. Despite his promises of collaboration with people across the aisle, he has consistently resisted any of his opponents' ideas with as much power as he can. Ironically, he has continued or worsened many of the flawed programs that he inherited. An example of this is the immigration program. President Obama promised to fix immigration in 1 year. 4 years later, he's deported twice as many people as President Bush. Enter Mitt Romney. Governor Romney has made a career out of turning things around in a good way, not only in the private sector, but in the political spectrum as well. His consulting company returned over 100 large companies back to profits, including Staples and Sports Authorities. The 2002 Winter Olympics would have ended in financial catastrophe had it not been for his management. His crowning achievement, though, is his governorship of Massachusetts. Working with a state legislature that was 85% Democratic, he managed to balance a budget that was spiraling out of control, as well as collaborate with those lawmakers to create an innovative healthcare plan that has actually been proven to work. Mitt Romney knows from experience that there is a huge market out there. He's also seen how little we've exploited it. In the 4 years that President Obama has been president, the U.S. has signed 0 major trade deals. The European Union, on the other hand, has approved 25 and China 19. Clearly, the U.S. is behind in trade, and our economy reflects that. Thus, he plans to create an environment that is conducive to business both domestically and abroad. There's an estimated 10 million jobs in exporting alone, and we've only hit the base of the mountain. An uncontrolled deficit will kill the country. By borrowing excessively, we just increase inflation and will ultimately have to cut services. Yet over the last 4 years, President Obama's deficits have been over $1 trillion annually. Responsibility and morality is something that America has been known for. Romney doesn't think it is fair for our posterity to enslave them with a crushing load of debt. By the way, by posterity, he means our generation. Thus, he's going to eliminate this elephant in the corner, which we call the federal deficit. Romney will reduce taxes on small businesses and protect them from strong-arm labor tactics, which will help increase the job market. 25% of business is small business. That's a lot of jobs that can't be filled because of high taxes. More jobs ultimately mean more tax dollars. Romney also believes strongly that all Americans have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That applies to all people, even those who are unborn. Romney is pro-life. He's developed a position that recognizes the importance of life. That is also why he has created an innovative healthcare plan that we actually know works. This healthcare plan was proven to work in Massachusetts. We know 2 things about Obamacare. It's really expensive and it's really unpopular. Mitt Romney believes that the most powerful part of America is its people, not the government. He won't let American people be controlled by OPEC. He will make our country energy independent and give companies incentives to make our country produce energy that works for us now, so we can research and develop energy that works in the future. Instead of monstrous spending sprees and tax hikes, he believes that the key to raising revenue is not to borrow, but is to get people working. Because if experience has taught Mitt Romney one thing, it is this: 23 million people out of work. That is not a healthy economy. Handing them borrowed money doesn't fix the problem. Instead, Mitt Romney promises to pare government down in order to justify lowering taxes, creating job opportunities, so that America can step back into the position that it once held, the top of the world. Thank you for being here, thank you for listening, and vote for Mitt Romney.
So you should have your answers to the closing statements down and write your reflection at the bottom of that page. I'm going to flip the lights on. We're going to have a question and answer segment. We're going to talk about what a question is. Not a statement, okay? You're not telling them what they believe, but you're asking a question that is answered not by yes or no. So not a leading question. It needs to be an open-ended question. And if you do ask that, I'll read one of those, I'll redirect you and have you restate your question. Each campaign will have 3 minutes to answer, so be thinking about some questions you want to ask them. And we'll start with the Obama campaign. So, do we have any questions for the Obama campaign? Bill, you have a question? Okay. Any questions that you have? No one? Not even the class that is with the Obama campaign? All right. Matt. Yes, and speak loudly so everyone can hear you.
So throughout your campaign, you said that the unemployment rate was the lowest it's been in 8 years, but you also said in your closing statement it was the lowest it's been in 4 years. I would like to know which one of those statements is correct.
4 years.
It is 4 years? Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Good question. Any other questions? No. No other questions. No, we're not going to sit here for 3 minutes. Okay, you ladies may take a seat. Give them a hand. All right, questions for the Romney campaign? Yes, Brandon.
President Obama has prevented federal student loan interest rates from doubling for more than 7 million students. Governor Romney told the Wall Street Journal that he was going to consolidate the education department with another agency, or quote unquote, make it a heck of a lot smaller. He is also quoted as having told college students to quote unquote, shop around and borrow money from your parents in order to pay for college. Why is he planning to consolidate the education department, and how will this affect our education, and how will we pay for it?
I wasn't sure if that was going to be a question. Yes, that's a good question.
That's a lot of questions. So first of all, have you applied for colleges? Have you gone through the college application process and looked for financial aid from the government? Do you realize how complicated a process it is? It's crazy. I think, first of all, Mitt Romney really wants to make that process a lot easier for college students. Secondly, he's also quoted by saying he was going to simplify and strengthen the financial aid program. He's going to keep money in the financial aid program. He's going to put more money in the financial aid program. So let's see, I think that addresses one of your questions. What were the other 12?
How will he pay for it?
How will he pay for it? Getting more people in the workforce, more tax dollars, trimming unnecessary programs.
And how will this affect our education?
I think more people get to go to school that way.
Oh, good.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Mrs. Cole.
I heard it mentioned about the success of Governor Romney's healthcare in his home state, and I've heard through a lot of sources that it actually was a very similar program to Obamacare as it's called. So I'm wondering if you could just talk about the differences. I mean, if you're slamming one healthcare program, but it's similar to what he did that was successful, how was this different?
Well, and you guys have about a minute to answer that.
So funding-wise, it's fairly similar. The difference is this. Obamacare is a nationwide policy, which means if you live in Alaska, you have the same option as if you live in Nebraska. Romneycare says, I'm going to give money, Romneycare gives money to each state in proportion to their population and says to the states, you work with these private companies to create the best healthcare plan for the state. Because the reality is that people who live in Florida have different views than the people who live in Washington. The people, yes, we're all Americans, but we're all members of our state. The state is able to cater to the needs of its people much more than a single government policy. And like I said earlier, every change you make to Obamacare goes through Congress. It took Obamacare 2 years to get through Congress. That's going to be pretty slow evolution.
All right, and that's the end of our question and answer period. Give them a hand. All right, so here's the procedure for, you're going to stay in your seats, okay? As you file out, once Mr. Rush has given his announcements regarding our community service, you will hand your notes to Emily Winteringham, Amanda, Jamie, or Melanie, who will be standing at the doors, okay?